This might be the cliche story, but at 15 years old, I went to my first Grateful Dead concert after moving from Atlanta, Georgia. I got to that parking lot and was like, oh my goodness, these are my people. Like, the tenacity to be a business owner is challenging right now. It is a challenging time to be a small business just getting by on extracts and capsules. I think oftentimes people pull out of taking different supplements or different things. It's like, well, I don't really feel anything. I go, well, how long did you take it? Like, you need to take it for, a month. It's a cumulative effect. You got to stick with stuff. If you're willing to, like, wanting to make a change in yourself, well, you at least have to.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again for another episode of We Are Mentally United podcast. Today, I am joined by a wonderful guest, a guest who I had the privilege of meeting up last year at the Psychedelic Science Conference that happened up here in Denver, Colorado. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Great. Super excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. No, it's so I'm so glad that we are reconnecting up over here. It was a pleasure meeting up with you last year at the Psychedelic Science Conference. But for folks who might not know of you, can you give a brief introduction about yourself?
Yes, my name is Nicole Erdrich, and I'm the owner of Four Peaks Medicinals, and we are a mushroom wellness company based out of Northern California. We specialize in high quality, locally sourced, organic, free range, all the things that you can imagine, creating handcrafted extracts, double extracted extracts, capsules, powders. We also specialize in teaching people how to use mushrooms as a therapeutic tool. So how to utilize mushrooms in a therapeutic setting and just create wellness programs with mushroom medicine.
That is wonderful. I feel like that's just something that's really needed in today's time and age. And we'll talk a lot more about its educational aspects of it and beneficial aspects of using either psychedelics or mushrooms. But to get the conversation started, was this something that always interested you, that you always wanted to do?
Oh, yes. I guess I didn't know that, but I think at about 15 years old, I knew that I was the black sheep of the family, which is funny because I'm an only child. So, um, this might be the cliche story, but at 15 years old, I went to my first Grateful Dead concert after moving from Atlanta, Georgia, and just being kind of a little bit of an outcasty. I mean, I was always really social, but a little bit of a Southern accent, kind of trying to find my way in Redding, California. Went to my first Grateful Dead show and got to that parking lot and was like, oh my goodness, these are my people. Like, this is me. I always had just a love for music and experimented with magic mushrooms at that time. Yes, that's young, but I felt like mushrooms chose me from that moment as a catalyst for love. I've always been very outgoing and a networking person and just kind of the leader of the pack. And from that moment forward, I've taken a lot of gratitude in that position. And I just knew that I was going to be involved with mushroom medicine in some way, shape, or form. And they have been a part of my life since I was young. All kinds of mushrooms.
That's amazing. The music concerts really do bring people together, right?
They do. I mean, part of my mission right now, if you follow our Instagram, Four Peaks Medicinals, you'll see that we are incorporating various musicians. We just had Mimi from Fruition as our first influencer that spent a month doing a journey with our different mushroom products. And it's just all of my dreams coming true because musicians are our voice. And especially in these times that we're living in, like, this is our voice, our chance for connection and community. And to start incorporating these musicians into like utilizing my products is just everything about who I am as a company culture and a person. And we're just building that. And it's really, really exciting that that's coming together. That's a manifestation from 15 years of age.
Wow, that's amazing. At 15 years of age, when you were consuming or when you consumed psychedelics for the first time, uh, did you have any kind of fear around it?
No, until after. I was like, give it all to me. I've kind of always been that way. Just a free spirit, jump head first. I don't recommend that for everyone whatsoever. In fact, that's our whole platform is like education before consumption. Take these medicines with responsibility. It's It's an honor. It's medicine. It's ancient medicine. So if I knew what I knew now, I might not have jumped in on a higher dose of various psychedelics. But I think that's a lot of how you learn, and perhaps that's what I needed in my life. So yeah. Did that answer that question all the way? Did I
Did
lose
it
my?
did it did make me you said ancient medicine, the term up over there, for a lot of folks in today's time and community, the time that we live in, a lot of times people look up at psychedelics as quote unquote drugs. So can you share a little bit more around what you mean by ancient medicine and how this medicine or how psychedelics, mushrooms, or any kinds of psychedelics have been used for so many years within our community and have been integrated within our community?
I mean, they're our biggest teachers and our allies and our mirrors. To me, one of the biggest things that I really teach people, I go, I just want you to sit with the fact that these organisms are on this earth for a reason. I mean, why else would you take this organism and see these things and have these awakenings? I also find it really fascinating that you know, psychedelic mushrooms are found on almost every continent too. So meaning like they're here for a reason to open us up. I mean, people have been going through suffering our whole lives and they're allies to help us process these things, and they shouldn't be called drugs. I feel like drugs have a bad connotation. They're
Hmm.
medicine, and when taken properly and respectfully, they can really be used in a medicinal way to help you become a more grounded human, a more open, connected, and compassionate person. I mean, I know that's what it does for me. Personally, right now, honestly, it's funny for me to say this. I teach people about microdosing and I've done my own microdosing journey, but I've always kind of had my issues around using alcohol a little bit. And I haven't been imbibing in the use of alcohol for a month. And I've done a full microdose journey and followed specific protocols. And I feel amazing. I'm able to
I
put
love that.
I feel amazing. I feel the best I've ever felt. I feel clear. I feel proud. I feel um just really happy. And it just lets me like set aside what's going on in the world and go, how can I show up every day with my loving heart and just teach one more person how to do the same and not get caught up in this arguing, fighting space that we're in. And I just think that mushrooms are such a useful tool for what we're going through. And that is the whole platform for my business, is teaching people how to use functional mushrooms like lion's mane, reishi, cordyceps, treat them in the same way and incorporate them into your wellness routine respectfully and feel the effects. Like I would never do what I'm doing and put everything in my heart into this company if I didn't see the personal effects of our products. They work and they like have changed my life. So
Absolutely. And I'm so happy to hear that. I remember when I was in my master's program for clinical mental health counseling, there was a research paper that I did on psychedelics and addiction. It was around a research that was happening up in Johns Hopkins University, where they were trying to see the effects on how psychedelics or mushrooms in general, or psilocybin in general, can help you overcome addiction. And the results were staggering at that point in terms of how much people have relapsed using different other modalities and how beneficial psilocybin has been for them when it comes to leaving cigarette addiction or nicotine addiction in specific.
too, yeah. Oh, it
It's
really
huge,
breaks down.
staggering numbers. I remember, I think it was 80% to 19, 90, 80% to 90% people
Wow.
had the success rate in terms of completely giving up smoking or
Wow.
nicotine for over 6 months. For people who were smoking over 2 packs per day, 2 packs
Wow. I
per
knew
day.
some of that, but I didn't know the number. So thank you.
No,
Yeah.
it was a staggering number, and the second highest on the way like the second highest modality that people had used in terms of success rate was on a 38% or 37% success rate with nicotine patches. So compare
That's
37,
amazing.
36% with 80 to
Yeah.
90% with on a very small clinical level trial. Whereas now, right before this meeting, I was looking and I went back into that research, and now that research is in a trial three phase where now they are implementing it on a much more grander audience and a huge number. So I'm really grateful to hear your personal experience with sobriety and with moving away from alcohol dependence because of psilocybin as well.
Yeah. I mean, at first I always do this, the 30-day, sober January thing. And now I'm just like, am I really going to be this person that I don't know if I'll fully move away? I do find enjoyment in a drink or two. It just like a total reframe of like, why would I mess this up? Like this feeling that I
Mm-hmm.
have right now is incredible. And also working through other addictions that I've had in my life. I mean, I don't know if I need to get too in depth, but I've had my share of addictions from a young age, masking my own pain through use of certain substances. And I am just like, I am not in pain anymore. I don't feel the need to numb out. The mushrooms have lowered the veil of all of the numbing out. They've shown me what it's from. They've allowing me to process it and move forward in a positive way. And I've just never felt better in my life. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
that's
I'm
just
I'm
helpful with my friends and everyone around me too. So
And
yeah.
I'm glad that folks like yourself are coming up and using different public platforms to talk about these things too, because I feel like a lot of programming has been done within our brains through the 70s and the 80s when war on drugs was basically launched up and happened up, where all of these substances or all of these medicinal tools that have been used for generations and generations were classified as quote unquote drugs. And like people have been programmed to think about it that way. So when someone like you comes across and does an interview, does a podcast, or speak about from their own journey, it breaks down that that perception
My
that people
mission.
have.
So my entire mission is deprogramming. A lot of the reason I started this business is I was like, so many people are afraid of mushrooms. They think, oh, lion's mane. Like they're all in this notion that everything gets you high. And I'm like, no, no, I'm here to teach you that all of these organisms, if I'm not mistaken on my numbers, like 14,000 different organisms of mushrooms. They're all here for reasons. They all have these beneficial values. And I really wanted to have this platform by having all these functional mushroom products that I could get out there and have a voice and then maybe help lessen fear around mushrooms as a whole and then guide people to trusting in the microdosing process and just reframing and rethinking that the drug concept because a lot of people at a young age took the eighth of mushrooms, myself included. No wonder you're terrified. You don't have the tools to understand what's happening in your mind. And so the whole concept of the microdose, I kind of call it like nature's Xanax. Like it's just the ability to use a natural organism to help you with your mental health. And no, maybe it's not for everybody. And that's why it's important to educate yourself and take it
Mhm.
seriously. Look at why you want to use it and set intention. And it can be a
That's very
very
true.
cool. Yeah.
100%. And like for let's start the education process from like the very basics. So what basically are mushrooms? Are they plants? Where do they grow? How do we obtain them?
That is a weird way. I call they're an organism is how I refer to them. They call them like sentient beings because they have their own mind. In fact, friends of mine that grow all types of different mushrooms are like, if we have somebody bad come into a grow room, there can be weird reactions from the mushrooms. So they're just like their own little brains, and we share I could be a little bit off on numbers, but like 50% of our DNA has similarities. So like, and they grow under the ground and are part of everything. They call the mycelium, the underground network, I always mess this up, World Wood Web, because they speak to everything. And I think by ingesting them on a daily basis, that you have this synchronistic relationship with nature and the oneness, and you can't help but feel elevated. And so I always tell people, take them daily. Their cumulative effect, you will feel it. Sometimes I digress. Did I get off topic once again?
No, no, no. You're totally on topic. I had a follow-up question around it. So when you're spreading out the educational content through Four Peaks Medicinals, how does that go across? How do you spread this message? How do you raise awareness and education around mushrooms, around a topic that's so stigmatized within our community?
It's interesting because the stigmatization is lessening, but of course I'm in Northern California, which is really wide open and I forget, but it is changing. Like I am openly talking about mushrooms and I will tell you 98% of people that I speak with are like, tell me more. I mean, I never, and back in the day it would be like, oh, you're a hippie, you're just getting loaded, you're a deadhead, whatever it might be. And now people are open and it's just like to me the fact that some of this decriminalization and everything is happening right now during really turbulent times is the plants like talking like to me I hold on to this place of like they are our hope for humanity and every single person that opens up their
Mm.
mind and ingest a microdose or ingest different types of mushrooms is a one more person that's a beacon for change. So first and foremost the way that I educate is just by being a representative personally by using them. people, my friends around me are just like, your light is shining brighter, and I'm like, I take mushrooms every day. I also am really, we offer personal consultations on how to create a curated mushroom wellness journey for you. We have a starting point where you can go to our website, you would go to the contact us tab, you go to support at fourpeaksmedicinals.net, and you can set up a 30-minute like free consultation where we will talk to you and help you understand more about our products or whatever it is you're looking for. And then from there, I do personalized wellness consulting with various tiers and products that we curate for your needs. Then we also have my, close friend and well-respected therapist, Miss Katie LaRue, who is a psychoeducator. She has all kinds of credentials that I can't even like speak to right now because there's so many that she has. And so we also offer consultations it's a paid, sessions with her. And she's at katielarue.com. So we have these tiers of a whole package of education. And then I am like really on this mission that Four Peaks is a voice right now. And so we will be part of various music festivals as exclusive sponsors. And we've done that before. So we offer classes and workshops at festivals. Our booths are like all interactive, like create your own wellness beverages utilizing our mushrooms so you could feel it that day and boost your immune system while you're out having a good time. Finding that balance in the mix of really letting loose. Musicians have trouble trying to kind of find that balance, I would imagine, being on the road and in buses and touring. So that's why I utilize them as a voice for us. We also do Zoom classes, we do in-home workshops. I do, workshops and classes all over the place. I will travel and teach in-person workshops and we design them to meet clients' needs. Any way that I can get the education out there, especially like in person, it's just nice to have FaceTime so people can trust us. I think the trust is a really big issue, and I think with my warm nature, hopefully it feels trusting enough for us to hold their heart with our products and yeah, and then ongoing, just any way that we can offer education really is like the key platform for the business.
Beautiful to hear the passion in your voice and the light in your eyes when you're talking about it. It feels really personal to you.
It does. I'll get all emotional about it because one of the things that I love to speak about is I have two young women that work for me that I have seen their growth. And I speak to this when I teach is that the tenacity to be a business owner is challenging right now. It is a challenging time to be a small business, just getting by on extracts and capsules. Like we need to be bigger than that, especially like in California. It's not cheap. It's very hard. Small businesses struggle, but that driving force for me is seeing those young women shine and like look at them really get it. I just feel such an honor in that piece. And I take that very seriously because they're
Mhm.
doing so well. And a lot of young people are struggling. So for to see them like really rise up is another huge component of what makes my eyes shine and my smile bright.
I love that. No, they mushrooms and psychedelics in general are just extremely beneficial. Even from my own personal experiences with psilocybin and mushrooms, it really helped me get through so much of traumatic memory, so much of trauma that I had, that I was carrying up. And as you said it before yourself, I see mushrooms or psilocybins as teachers, as guides that guide us through the journey that we are on.
Yeah, I mean, just that ancient medicine components. I mean, just used in ritual and ceremony and just
It was
there.
integrated into faith-based practices as well. I was reading up a book a couple of years ago. It was called The Immortality Key,
Oh, yeah,
uh,
I haven't read
and
it, but I.
it's an amazing book, and I would highly recommend it to you. You read about it because it basically talks about how a lot of traces were found in all
Oh,
over the world in different religious areas and groups,
yes, yes,
in
yes.
different churches, in different mosques, in different synagogues, in their plates, in the bowls that were found up over there. There were residues of mushrooms, there were residues
All that.
of
Yeah.
DMT, and that according to that book, that research basically shows or signals you that these things were being used spiritually for us, in faith-based practices as well, and that's how ancient these tools are.
Right. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I've heard or read that it's been helped with the development of language and then
Hmm.
evolutionary components through psychedelics.
Creativity, if you go up and look up at, I'm not saying that this is 100% the reason why the ancient historical places, but mosques and churches, if you look up at the mosques and churches that were made 100, 200 years ago, and the architecture within it, the glasswork that it has is within it, the mosaic, the lights that they have in there,
Oh
that's a
yeah,
psychedelic
yeah,
vision. That's a proper psychedelic
pyramids,
vision.
pyramids and whatnot, and
Yeah.
how to have the visions of building all those things come from, it's definitely enhances your brain function or cannot, but they're just
Again,
amazing.
I feel like I personally, my belief in that is that those people were much more advanced than us in the knowledge of these organic substances that are
Mm,
out there. They
I feel
knew
like
exactly on how to use them and how
yeah.
to observe them, because people were living in small communities, and all those small communities had shamans or people of respect that they would go up and speak to. And I feel like those were the people who were administering these things. That's why they probably came up from a lot of religious spaces as well. And the connection to God that you have when you're on a trip, or
Mhm.
the universe that you have, it's so pure, it's so beautiful.
It is, and we're so distracted by all this false information and all these different things where they got to sit with and commune with nature in the way that we're supposed to with those medicines. Hence why I
We
really
have a
tell
lot of noise right now around us
we
with
have
social
so
media,
much
with media. So you can't really sit down and do
way
that work.
be involved, but choose wisely. And I think for me, I've had some mushroom experiences recently. That's just like turn it off and then just be a beacon of light. Continue to just shine that smile in the midst of all this, and then use Four Peaks as a platform for that voice and these music festivals and things like just how to, because I think the music festival right now is really important for people to come and be able to let loose with one another and hug and love each other. And it's just a really good platform for what I feel we really need right now. I'm also a music lover, so that's my world.
Absolutely. I feel like music festivals, sports games, and all these things, these are people feel so ecstatic, so happy, so connected in these things because these are basically community-based events that we have lost track of.
Yeah.
And we don't have a
Yeah.
lot of these community-based events. I attended Taylor Swift's concert 3 years ago at the Eras
Awesome.
Tour, and my God, the energy over there. My God, I
I
can
bet.
never
I
rub that
can
off.
feel the sticks. Yeah,
It
yeah.
was such an
Um,
experience because everyone was filled with love. Everyone was filled
yeah.
with compassion. We were
Yeah.
all there to enjoy and have a good time and not
Yeah.
talk about different things that make us different from each other.
Low vibration stuff. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the music festival world and I just, my parents are always like, "What are you doing now?" And I was like, "I need this. This fuels me, but learning how
Mhm.
to not let it take away from me from a little maybe too much party in my younger years. So that's like the balance piece, but also
Well,
when
the
I'm
thing
being
well, isn't
volunteer,
balance needed in everything though? Balance, like
absolutely.
if you start eating too much of food or if you start drinking too much of water, that's also unhealthy for you.
100%. Well, and what's funny is I'm a Libra, right? So we're the scales. So we're like, oh, tipping
Yeah.
this way, that way, this way, that way. Um, Also, I just feel like we just have such a big platform for this community concept. I'm working in my town right now on an idea of using this big event center where we just do a free like sound healing event once a month. And it's just like come into this room together as a community and let's stop pitting each other against one another. I'll have all my mushroom extracts. Like I love this whole create your own ritual concept with our products. Because everybody's in this mushroom coffee, concept, but I think it's something really beautiful about because I do all these rituals in my morning, and part of that is that I make my cup of coffee or my tea, and then I choose the various tinctures, that I want to put. I happen to have them right here. So, like we do our Revive and Thrive, you would do like a teaspoon of that, and it has, maca and lion's mane and turkey tail and chaga and all the different things and cordyceps for like sustained energy, and then you would add a tincture of your choice, and we do different ones to kind of change it up each month because you can kind of build tolerances. So there's something to me that I feel really powerful with when I create this own beverage that's mine. It's not just a powder that I buy from somebody, although you're buying these from us, but you get to play with this drink and then you walk away with this like even if it was a placebo, which it isn't, but just feeling in control of your wellness. I think that that helps it work better. I don't think, I know that it helps it work better in the mind when you're teaching your body how you want to use it and how you want to feel. And
Mhm.
so I'm really into this create your ritual wellness beverage social party and then sound healing. So that's something we're working on right now.
That's amazing. How often you said it happens once a month, or
Well,
how
it
often does it
hasn't
happen?
yet. I'm working. I just did one the other night. So we have this beautiful event center. So I'm in a process of saying, hey, could you donate the space? Here's our purpose. This town, we live in a small town. We've had after the campfires, we had those major devastating fires that kind of started the whole destruction in California. Our town changed overnight, and so did the energy. Like Chico was very light, and it was just this beautiful community. It still is, but there's just this looming darkness because it brought in a lot of people, like a whole town burned down and came into Chico. So there's homelessness now that's really gotten bad. And so I just feel like it's my part. My part is to let's get together and be nice, and just
Mhm.
love each other and meet with
More
each
people
other
need to think that way.
and clean up your nervous system and lay in meditation together. It's just, I'm going to make that happen. So I'm in process. I'm starting what's called Soulful Sundays at a local, the Chico Women's Club here in town. And I'm going to build on this sort of day retreat thing, but you're going to end your weekend with this functional mushroom medicine. You're going to make a beverage of your choice and you're going to feel good from that. And then you're going to like do this sound healing. And then I just want to, and maybe some breath work. And I just want to build on this Sunday piece so that you can go into your work week with an open heart and just love each other more. Like we need it so much. So
Amazing.
it's my
No,
mission.
please definitely do that. And like, if you ever need any help or support in that area from myself, please let me know because again, mushrooms
Totally.
is something that's really close to my heart. Like, it really has helped me grow and evolve a lot. Like really a lot. But in terms of you mentioned something around set and setting a couple of minutes ago. For folks who might not know about setting and integration, what is that, and how can they incorporate it when they are preparing themselves for a journey?
Well, I'm going to speak just straight up from what has happened in this last month. Like I always meditate, and then summer comes and just like anybody else, if I'm not fully in, I'm fully out, right? So once I get fully in, I have this beautiful white fur rug that I lay down. It's not even real fur, everybody. So no freaking out here. And I lay that fur out, and there's something about it that just feels like home. It's super comfy. So every time I lay on it, that in and of itself is like an instant grounding place that I get to. And, I do my supplements and then I make, before I'll lay that out first thing and then I get all my diffusers. So I'm really into essential oils because I use them in meditation and I choose. So for instance, this particular month, I chose transformation oil because of this wanting to be different around alcohol. And so I set this intention with that oil, which helps trigger, oh gosh, I'm losing the terminology right now, but the limbic system in the brain. So you say, okay, I want to do transformation oil. You want to smell it, connect it with this piece in your mind, this limbic system in your mind that says, oh, every time I smell this, oh, I'm going to get into this meditative place. I take that smell and it just automatically calms my nerves. And I put that in my diffusers and I light an incense as a prayer to humanity. I always do kind of a big prayer and then I'll light a candle for my friends and family. Everybody can have their own rituals, not everybody has the same amount
It
of
can
time,
be
but
different from people to people, right? Like
yeah,
for
with
me,
kids and
I
dogs.
incorporate a lot of crystals personally. Like
Yeah,
I
I've
need to
got
have some crystals around.
yeah, I have my crystals and I have my journal and I try to tell people don't put pressure, don't make it a pressure thing. Like meditation is doesn't just do what you can do for you, even if it's 5 minutes. Start your day in a place. Do not get on your phone right away. Start your day in a place for you. Because when I do that, as a business owner that has a brain that spins out of control, I'm a creator, I'm also a little ADD. It helps guide my intention for myself and for my business, and so that I'm a better boss. Because if not, I'm running around like this, and it just really sets up a path for actually getting things done properly and just honoring my nervous system. And it is like night and day when I take 5 minutes to 30 or to an hour, depending on a weekend. But I make sure I set that time aside. And that can look different for everybody. It could be a meditative walk, it could be the 20 minutes in a sauna. It can be laying in your bed for 10 minutes before you jump out of bed and just saying, I want to have a beautiful day, or how do I want to show up today? Um, but it's a game changer in how much happier I feel when I meditate or take that time for myself. I think it's a key component for life.
What do you call that? Like the set aspect of it, though?
I'm
That's
sorry,
the
say it
set.
again.
What do you say that's the set aspect of setting and integration?
Yeah, that's like my set, meaning like what I do every single day. My set is the rug, candles, that's my set or my setting. Um, yeah, you kind of need that space. It becomes your own little altar, your own ritualistic way of honoring yourself. Like if we don't honor ourselves, then we can't show up for others in the right way. You're coming from a place of
True.
frenetic energy. So it's really important to take the time to love yourself enough to say, hey, I'm going to do this for myself today, no matter how busy I am. I'm going to get up that 30 minutes earlier. I'm going to set myself so that I can show up better for the people around me.
Yeah, yeah. Even the setting aspect, I feel like is so important in terms of the surrounding that you're doing it in. Whether you are in your own closed room, closed space, you're surrounded by a lot of
Oh, that's
people.
what yeah, yeah,
I think that can also be a big thing too, right?
absolutely. I mean, my house is my own, space. If you saw it, it's just like, I say this because sorry, mom, if you hear this, but my mom was very rigid. Everything was so like, it felt like the museum house. And I always swore that I wanted this home. When people walk in, they go, ah. And so I
Ah.
created that space in defiance of her. No, I love my mom dearly. She's taught me to be a very organized human, and I appreciate that. But, yeah, I just have like low lights and I have a bunch of plants and I actually have some people that came over the other day and they're these young girls that stopped by for something and they're just like, your house is our favorite house and it's just so calming and that's just such an honor. I go, I did it. That's what I
Mhm.
wanted. So,
I also feel like another really important thing is who you do psychedelics with. If you're doing it by yourself, if you're surrounded by your friends, if you're surrounded by strangers, because at least for me personally, that had a big role. When I was surrounded by people that I did not know, I was alert the whole time. So my trip was not
um,
too calm, not too easy
yeah.
because I was not too grounded. But whenever I've done it with around people that I trust or just in my own space, it has been a wonderful journey. So I feel like being mindful of those kinds of little bits of things can really impact the journey that you may have.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're anything like me, I am like overly sensitive to people's energy. Like I can feel somebody that I resonate with immediately, or if I feel it, I try to teach the girls, that I work with me is like, if you feel that in your gut, it's probably right. So like you don't want to
True.
be eating like psychedelics around that because you're already starting in a tense place and that will like can super affect your experience. And then especially if you're going to do it alone, and I say this from a friend of mine that tried a product that she had and she said, oh my God, it was really strong. And I almost thought I was having a bad trip because she didn't know going in. She just didn't set up the expectation about how strong it could have been and didn't really set up a set and setting and kind of had to walk her off the nervousness of like calling me and being like, just take a breath. You're totally fine. Deep breaths, put on some nice music, light a few candles, and just tell yourself you're totally okay. And what can I learn from this? So it's really important. Like, you can't mess around. Like, and oftentimes, people will take a microdose and they are like, I didn't like it. I felt really edgy and I was weird. And I was like, well, perhaps it's set and setting, you know, this is super important. Like, are you on other medications? So that's another part we can talk about if you'd like. And
Please do so. I think that would be really interesting to hear
Yeah,
about
you
if you're
just need
on
to make
other
sure.
medication.
I'm not a therapist, so I always tell people like I am a mushroom advocate and enthusiast, but I am not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not certified. So like this is just from my own experience and my own research. But if you're on SSRIs or antidepressants, and you might even know more about this than I do, but that can block those receptors. That's kind of the point of those medications. And so it can affect how you feel in the microdose. Some people have to take a little bit more, or some people get that edginess. Oh, point is, oftentimes if you get that, that might be what you need. You're processing through that emotion. It might be crunchy, it's not always going to be fun and games, but sometimes you need to take that microdose, work through that crunchiness, go, oh, I'm okay after, and then next time it's going to be different. But the medication piece, you can't take that lightly. Like if you're on antipsychotics or any like heavy medications, like for sure you need to make sure you do the research, consult with a doctor. A lot of doctors are very open to all this stuff now. Like be honest, do not mess
Yeah.
around taking psychedelics. If you aren't potentially having the right brain chemistry, it can affect you in a way that may not be positive.
100%. No, I feel like having that consultation or that open conversation with a doctor or your psychiatrist, I think that's super important. I've seen so many cases of people, either whether that be psychedelics or whether that even be marijuana, where people have consumed it, the same substance, but have had a completely different reaction to it.
Yeah,
And again, like one has to be mindful about it, and one has to be in my headspace also, has to be in a safe space when doing psychedelics rather than being in an unsafe space.
absolutely. It's very important. You want to come into your experience grounded and comfortable. I try to tell
Yeah.
people, if I could tell you anything, try not to be afraid, try to be excited and open, because I think that fear that you're feeling is what you've been told.
Mhm.
And just kind of reframe into like, what can I
That's
learn?
programmed into us. That programmed into us through
Program
media, through politics, through community and
totally.
stuff.
What can I learn and how can I be expansive thinking and instead of fearful, because then you're already putting that thought in your head and you might have a scary moment because of it versus like, all right, I'm excited. I'm open. Like, what can I learn from this? What do I want to gain? What is it that I seek? What's my intention today?
Mhm.
And, and people can do like a whole protocol, right? So they can do a whole month journey or 3 months or continuously, but get behind your why.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a really good thing that you bring that up because I have a question for you, Nicole, around that. So, how important is what kind of mindset one is in when you're starting up a journey or when you're taking psychedelics? Because sometimes I've heard people say that, oh, I am going through XYZ trouble and I'm in a really bad headspace. I just want mushrooms to clear my head out. Whereas in my thing, I'm like, if you're in that bad of a headspace, probably taking mushrooms right now might be a little dangerous because
Yeah,
then you might like, get too overly focused on some things. So
absolutely.
how does that work? How important is mindset? How important is like, how you're feeling on during that day when you're taking mushrooms or any
It's like the
psychedelic?
most important. Like, I think, first of all, you cannot expect the mushrooms to do all that work for you. Oftentimes, like, you've got to put in the work prior and really come at a place of ready. Like, you'll know when you're ready. I really think that you know when you're ready. I know that I've been considering doing a heroic dose, which is like, can be 3 to 6 grams or whatever. I don't recommend that people do that freely, like I would do that with a trip sitter, which somebody, a therapist or somebody would sit with you or a close friend that you trust and do it from a very therapeutic place. But I have to be called to that. And that's the reason I'm feeling called is because I feel really grounded in my intention and my why behind it. When I say your why, like, what's your why? Like, what do you want to receive? What do you want to feel and move through from the medicine? And if you're scattery and all over the place, perhaps it's not time for you to do it yet. And you want to come out in a comfortable place where you realize that you're doing the work as well. It's not just reliant on the mushroom. I say
Yeah,
mushroom
yeah.
because that's what I obviously work with when it comes to microdosing overall.
Mm-hmm. Very true, very true. In terms of benefits of mushrooms and psychedelics itself, in your own personal life, how have they helped you? How have they helped you grow either internally or even with the people that you have around you?
That's so great. They've made me move the people out that don't serve my higher self anymore. I think that also can come a little bit with age, but it's just really opened me up to like, who are the people when I say that I'm not drinking alcohol are like, yeah, girl, or who are the ones that are like, ugh, I don't want to hang out with you anymore. I'm like, I don't want that. I want the people around me that are like, truly love my support, and oftentimes that comes, I mean, that's obviously coming from their own projections and their own self hatred around their decisions, I know. So it's made me really hold a tight group of friends that support my growth. I am in love with taking lion's mane on a daily basis just for cognitive function. I just feel clear. I feel creative. I feel like lion's mane's a beautiful mushroom because you can kind of feel it sort of more immediately. And I think oftentimes people pull out of taking different supplements or different things. It's like, well, I don't really feel anything. I go, well, how long did you take it? Like, you need to take it for, a month. It's a cumulative effect. You got to stick with stuff. If you're willing to like wanting to make a change in yourself, well, you at least have to commit to maybe a month,
Consistent. Yeah, at least has to be consistent.
consistent. And like that's if you're not consistent, you can't expect these mushrooms to work for you if you're not consistent. So
Hmm.
and then I love cordyceps for like a pre-workout. So we do this in this Revive and Thrive because this has cacao and a bunch of different mushrooms. Anyway, it helps with the sustained energy. And they used cordyceps in the Olympics in China to help with athletic performance. So just from an energetic standpoint, I love cordyceps. I take turkey tail every single day, all because of my hero, Paul Stamets. Many people know the well-known
I
mycologist.
love him.
We know he's such a sweetheart, and we know we I met him at the MAPS conference in Denver, but I mean, he's my hero, and he talks about how his mother, was a part of a study with 50 other people that had cancer. 48 people from that study passed away. Two people high dose turkey tail extract and survived this cancer. So to me, that was like a light bulb moment because breast cancer runs in my family. And so I take turkey tail every single day. Even if it was placebo, I can't
Wonderful.
take this. It
No,
isn't.
definitely. I mean,
A lot
it's not
about
harming your
mindfulness.
body. It's not harming your body.
It's
So
not harming
like,
your body.
what's there to lose? Take it. That's really good.
Absolutely. Like I said, even if you're just training your mind to go, okay, well, I'm not going to get cancer now. Perhaps that works. There's studies around that. And then I
Hmm.
take, like I said, breast cancer runs in my family. So, yeah. And like the immune system, I travel all over the place. I'm on buses, planes, boats. I'm in weird locations where everyone around me gets sick and I don't ever.
Wonderful.
And if I do, like I did have an itty bitty cold and it was just a little touch of it, and I'm like, that's amazing to me. I mean, I have a pretty strong immune system, maybe overall, but I really attribute that immune health to taking mushrooms on a daily basis.
100%. I completely agree with you on that too. I also take mushrooms on daily basis, the ones that Paul Stamets has, the eight Stamets one,
Yeah.
and it's wonderful. It's really good.
Yeah, I think it's like a marked difference. And it's interesting too, because we're learning a lot about different mushrooms and whether or not the fruiting body, so the fruiting part that comes out of the earth, the fun little mushroom piece, that's the fruiting body, or if you should take the mycelium. I mean, obviously there's great health benefits in both. But we just do the fruiting body for now because oftentimes the mycelium is grown in a substrate, which can then cause fillers to be a part of your extracts. Because we've done some testing of ours against other big brands, and ours showed no fillers. And
Oh,
by
wow.
fillers, grown in like a substrate or grain, and that can show up in the product. So you're not getting as pure of a mushroom. So ours are all fruiting body. And then also people that have celiacs, or certain other diseases like that can have effect from the grain substrate being a part of that. So anyway,
Interesting.
still a lot of research around that. So
No, need all that education. I feel like
yeah,
I think I've heard you say it before, like education before consumption,
yeah.
and I think that's super important.
Yeah, I'm really stepping into that because I've had people that have, I've been taking mushrooms so long that I just assume everybody's taken them but some people are so sensitive. Like, we say, a microdose is a tenth, point 0.1 or 100 milligrams, tenth of a gram. You know, Ideally, a microdose is supposed to be subperceptual, which means like you're not supposed to really feel it, which people are like, well, why would I take it then? Well, the idea is you're not supposed to feel it. You're not supposed to, you're supposed to be able to function, pick up your kids. I don't recommend driving though. Make sure that you test your things. Do not drive if you haven't dabbled and made sure that how you react to them. But yeah, everybody's different.
It
I can take
is.
a
They
full
are.
dropper. I have tolerance. You build tolerance over time. It's all dependent on your like size and your brain chemistry. People will ask me for this across the board, recommendations on all different mushrooms. And I'm like, you have to find your sweet spots. And that's the beauty of plant medicine is that we get to regulate it ourselves instead of somebody coming along and just blanket prescribing medications to a
Yeah.
300-pound man and a 120-pound woman. Those are going to be very different reactions. So
Hmm.
plants, you can kind of play with them and you get to choose your own wellness. And that's
Hmm.
beautiful. I think with that, you become more well.
Very true.
You're responsible for your, biology. And that's a beautiful gift that plants offer us.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned about addiction a little bit before, on how mushrooms or psychedelics in general can be helpful overcoming addiction. What are some other mental health struggles that you may have heard of within the community, um, or that people might have used mushrooms for, or psychedelics for that they might have improved?
I
Like for
mean,
me
big
personally, I've
time
seen trauma.
breaks.
I've done a lot of trauma work on my own life,
Yeah, you've
having
been
psilocybin. So I've seen that. But what other mental health struggles have you heard about?
I mean, I love it. You could probably speak to a little bit more than me. Luckily, of course, we have our own struggles. I've had tons of struggles with body shame as a kid. I was a chubbier kid, and that was really hard on me. And I was taught I wasn't pretty enough if I or worth it if I wasn't thinner. So I've used mushrooms to kind of work through that release of letting that go. I've really sat with like, that's other people's shit. That is not right to tell anybody how their body needs to be. And so I've used it as a tool for just letting go of generational stuff from grandma to mom to whatever. So really a great tool for kind of shedding where that came from and let me see it clear. But super great for, can be really good for depression and anxiety. Those are great ways to utilize microdosing or psychedelics or even just other, functional mushrooms. When I say regular, I love to determine between functional and medicinal. I think it can be confusing and psychoactive. You have these functional mushrooms that are a grouping of mushrooms that are good for this overall wellness components. Well, they all are. So just trying to determine, and I've been trying to, in my own business, decipher between the two. So we say functional, and then we kind of refer to psychedelic components as conscious compounds. That's sort of a term that we use. But yeah, depression, anxiety, PTSD, they're using it for. Um,
I've seen a lot of use of it in the veterans community as well.
yes, and my dad is a disabled vet, and at 82 is knee deep in taking all of our different mushroom products. And I was like, I feel great, honey. I mean, he might just tell me that anyway, but and he's a great example. He wanted to microdose, and I was just so proud of that. He's pretty open-minded, but he is an example of like a beast who doesn't feel anything because he's been on all kinds of medications, like just a racket of full supply of different medications as a vet. They just prescribed him everything. And he's just kind of numbed out, from it all. So anyway,
I hear you on that because, like, as you know, that we Mentally United has been working around a documentary on psychedelics. We interviewed you for that as well.
you
But
did.
when I was making up that documentary, I connected up with a lot of veteran communities. And I heard so many stories of veterans flying out of America, going to Mexico, going to South Africa, and
Yeah.
receiving
Yeah.
up
That's a big
this
Mexican.
help, receiving up this support because it's allowed up over there, it's legal up over there. But in my headspace, they shouldn't have to do that. They should be able to get
Right?
all that help and support up over here in the country that they fought for or in the country that they defended.
Don't even get me started. No, that's an entire other podcast. Yes, there's a lot of depth in that conversation. Absolutely,
Right?
they should be able to have that help here from an organism that comes out of our earth, you know.
It's it really pisses me off to be honest, and like
Oh
it really
God,
opened up my
it's
eyes
heated
hearing
with
of
stuff
these
like that.
stories. Like as you said, it is a heated conversation, but it's also, come on, it's benefiting these folks, these
Oh
community
yeah, well, it
members.
doesn't
Why?
benefit pharmaceutical companies is what that's about.
Exactly,
That's where the
exactly.
heat comes in. Because do not get me wrong, pharmaceuticals have a place in different ways. So I always
Mhm.
tread lightly in that world, but I think people are opening up to the fact after COVID and all this different things that, you know,
It's a
there's a
business model at the end of
name
the
in
day.
the game with the pharmaceutical companies, right?
Yeah, no, I personally feel like they have their own space. A lot of pharmaceutical medicines are extremely helpful and beneficial for a lot of
I
people,
don't want to
but
negate that. True. Yeah.
that does not mean that it should not be treated as a business. It should not be treated as a profitable business
Commercial
because
on
that's
TV.
where I feel like the problem
Yeah.
comes in. Because
Yeah.
then you make people dependent on substances. And with psychedelics, one good thing is
And
that
those
you'd
side
really
effects are insane. right?
Side
You know,
effects are insane too. You're
yeah.
dependent, your dosage is always increasing or decreasing, and then you have side effects. Whereas for psychedelics, the dependency factor is not there because you don't have to take psychedelics for the rest of your life.
No,
That's
you
not
don't.
that's not the goal of it.
You might want to because you're like, damn, those are fun, and I'd rather have a microdose at a party than, drink a bunch of toxic, alcohol. And don't get me wrong, I also don't want to like negate alcohol. I think on some levels it is pretty poisonous, but I do think there's some joy in that glass or two of wine. It's just when I get past that that it's like, where am I going now? You
But
know?
that's the thing with I feel like that's the thing with everything in life when it
Yeah,
comes to
yeah, you're
balance.
right. You speak to that. You're right. This is my own,
Like
this
you
is my
can
own stuff. Yeah.
I no, but I completely hear you. Like I feel like the main problem occurs when one does not do anything with imbalance.
Yeah.
Whether that be
Oh,
alcohol, whether that be food,
balance,
whether that be
right?
drink, whether that be anything, anger, anything. Anger is something that we cannot completely run away from. We all feel angry at certain aspects of life.
Earlier
But
today. Yeah, yeah.
but the difference between how you express anger and how I express anger and how someone expresses anger who's probably in the prison system, that's the different aspect. It's not that they have anger, we don't have anger. It's how we put it out there.
Beautifully said. I had a moment today where I very rarely get angry. I don't even know if I want to call it angry. Maybe it's just a little defensive. I'm like, where's it coming from? And what I love now, and I think mushrooms have taught me this, it's allowed me to see my stuff. And when I feel that in me, I go, where's that coming from? Like, what is it in me that triggered? And is it valid? And sometimes it is because I go, sometimes that came from somebody else's stuff. But my job right now is to react from my heart instead of from just reactiveness. If you're coming from your heart and you truly feel a certain way, it's really hard for that other person to be upset back. And it
True.
really creates a place of um, coming to a loving agreement or disagreement, but from a loving heart. And I've gotten
Yeah.
so much better about just not that jump and just going, okay, you can feel that way. That's okay. It's okay to feel that way. There's a reason, but how do you move through it, instead of then, because then you feel like crap afterwards if you react wrong, then it's even worse. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For
yeah.
you, as a business owner, as someone who is on social media and trying to promote the work that you folks are doing, how frustrating is it to tiptoe around, or even on social media, and not get censored when you're using the terms like it's the psychedelics or mushrooms? Because all these social media apps also have their own algorithm, AI algorithm that they
Very.
run, where they censor you. Like a lot of our posts got taken down because we just had the word psychedelics in it when we were promoting the work around the documentary. So, being a business owner who heavily relies on getting your word out, how do you navigate those challenges? Because that must
Well,
be frustrating, right?
people always ask me to like, it's very frustrating. It's so hard because I just want to be all out and say all these things. But then I also have to look at it, at least I do have these platforms to share about us. And so I'm grateful for that, that we have a way to get a message out and just how do we tiptoe around it and do it professionally. And from like, I never want to come across as some like greedy company. Like, I want to respect the medicine. So it makes me really sit with how to get to the right audience but it's frustrating,
It
because I
must be,
want
it
to
must be.
all out, come out and microdose of the show, but we have to
Because
tread
because your
lightly.
intentions are pure, you're trying to help people, and
No,
like in
yeah,
order to reach those people, if there are these obstacles, it can definitely be really frustrating and disheartening.
I just look at the powers that be are against it for a reason because it works and because it makes a difference. So I use it as just a tool for a challenge, and I'm just going to sit back lightly and just respect how to do it and know that it's changing. Thank God. Like it really is. Like it's shifting. And so I'm just going to play along one step
I
at
love
a
that
time,
mindset.
one person at a time. I say to people when they come to our classes, the more people that resonate with mushroom medicine is one more person that walks out that door and that tells a friend and tells their mom and their mom's friend. And it's this opportunity for us to rise up. I try to look at what's happening in the world right now is like it is so sad that people have to lose lives that we've just dealt with or have for centuries, but But I see it as a place for change that's gonna happen, and I really have to sit in a positive place. I'm just that way. So, and I think mushrooms are a good platform and a voice and the music and all of that. And something I work on too that we offer is I really want just more and more people like that are therapists to use our products too. So we kind of do like a train the trainer. So I come from like a major corporate background. Actually, I did corporate event management and team building, leadership development. It's in my soul. I design team building programs. I like constantly creating, but I'm like, how do we get our products to the people, And so we do kind of a train the trainer, train the therapist through our consultations, offer the opportunity to have our products in your business, to just help get them out there. What's different about us, it's like, why would you use Four Peaks? We are a handcrafted, women owned, boots on the ground, grassroots, little company doing big things. And
Uh,
and our products are, we call them like farm to bottle, farm to capsule, like our loving hands are part of every process. And I think that matters. I don't think so. I know it does. And I also feel like, a lot of products sit on trucks and cargo. And when you do start to work with botanicals and different, plant medicine and you grind them up or whatever, they start to degrade over time. And so as of now, because we're small enough and that could change, but we go farm to bottle, like everything's made every couple of weeks. So they're fresh and the
uh,
efficacy is higher. So meaning they're more effective, more bioavailable, meaning you're getting the best constituents, the best properties out of those mushrooms. Oh, this is a cool part too, is we get a majority of our mushrooms from Parasol Mycology. They're just a teeny little bitty family run grow operation in Paradise, which is where those campfires were. And so by supporting us is helping to support the regrowth and the economy of Paradise after the big fires. So, and then they take the waste from their grow operations and put it back into the soil, which is helping with the regrowth of the soil, of the plants and trees and everything.
wow,
That part I love about what we're
it's
doing.
incredible. You're doing
Yeah,
some amazing, amazing work in your community, Nicole. Like
thank you so
really,
much.
really empowering work. And
Thank
again,
you.
I'm so glad that we connected up in that conference because, like, I absolutely really admire the work that you're doing.
Oh, I'm
You
gonna be,
mentioned
we're gonna be hanging out again. I know it.
110%. I have no doubts about that.
Yeah,
You mentioned that the time is changing, things are evolving. There is public knowledge out there that psychedelic treatments are getting pushed in Oregon and Colorado.
yeah.
Can you speak a little bit more about what change is happening up in current time around
You
psychedelics
know,
and
I
mushrooms?
I should know more. I should follow more about it. I mean, people come to me all the time. Oh, it's legal. Well, what my understanding is there's, decriminalization, legalities are different things. It's not like you can just go out and just publicly sell psychedelics. Although like in San Francisco, they've got various, churches that can kind of sell products. I mean, I don't know if it's illegal. It's just like with cannabis, there's just all this gray area. And I do know that from what I understand up in Oregon and Washington, they can provide, mushroom medicine through a therapeutic setting or from a therapist. I'm still not
That's
totally.
that's something that no, that you're totally right on that. That's something that is happening up in Oregon, Portland area, and that's
Yeah.
also just
Yay.
this year
Yay.
is
Yay.
also happening up in Colorado now as well.
Cool. That's awesome. That makes me so happy because at the end of the day, like that's the change. Like that's our hope for humanity, in my humble opinion. And so, I have noticed, I don't know any specifics, but I saw like a cafe, up in Oregon that offers microdosing. And so we are part of some things that we're working on so that we can navigate how to utilize products in these various ways,
Mm.
up through Oregon channels and things like that. So we've got some stuff that we're working on because, like you spoke to earlier, we're wall, wall, wall trying to help people. So it's
Are you
frustrating.
hopeful though?
I'm hopeful. It, although, like I see, yes, as a person that is a plant medicine ingester, part of my moments of sitting with myself in my own ceremonies is I truly believe like my push for what I do is that it's changing. And like I keep saying, each person that just takes even lion's mane and different mushrooms is more connectedness, more open mind, thinking, less fear around mushrooms, more people saying, you do mushroom work? I mean, the fact that 98% or more, I mean, I don't know anybody in the last, I mean, I've been doing this for 20 plus years, by the way. Um, Anybody that hasn't isn't open-minded about it. It's really beautiful. That gives me hope.
Mm, that's good. That's amazing. That's beautiful. For folks who might be listening to the podcast, how can they find you? What are some links? What are your social media links? How can they get in touch with you?
One of our taglines for the company that I just love so much is our tagline is adventure into wellness with Four Peaks Medicinals. And so the way that you can do that is we are fourpeaksmedicinals.net. That's our website. You know, we're Four Peaks, FOURPAKS Medicinals, MEDICINALS.net. And also on Instagram. We're on Facebook and growing TikTok and all the other things we're working on. We're a small little business. There's just three of us. And then, like I said, a really cool thing that we offer is if you want to set up a consultation and have us speak with you about various components of mushroom medicine and using them as a therapeutic tool, you can go to contact us on our website, fourpeaksmedicinals.net, and go to support or contact us. And then our email, I guess you don't even have to do that. If you want to email us, is support at fourpeaksmedicinals.net. But there's also a jot form on that contact us where you can go in and just set up a consult. I recommend doing that because then you can pick and choose a date and time. You could set up an appointment with me with all the wellness coaching offerings. If you want to have an owner, me sit with you and design a curated program, I will do that too. All that again, you can find
Amazing.
through our website. And then
Amazing.
Katie,
Thank you.
oh, one more thing, sorry about that. And then if you wanted to get a hold of our, work with our therapist on our team, it's katielarue.com. And then
Okay.
she's Katie LaRue, so Katie and then LARUE is also her Instagram. So she's a great therapist that works in conjunction with us.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. And for all the viewers and listeners, whether you're watching it on YouTube or Spotify, we will be having all these links along with with their email addresses in the description of the video as well. So you can always go up over there and you can select it from those URL links as well.
Awesome.
Um,
Thank you. I know that's a lot of
but
stuff I'm throwing at you.
No, no, no. Yeah, good. We're gonna have everything in the description for our audience. They can easily find you, folks. And again, like I feel like Nicole, we can go on this topic. There are so many different things that we can delve into. Maybe we can also do an episode two in the future. But to wrap things up, what's next for you? What's coming up for you, folks? What are you most excited about?
I am so excited. You know, it's crazy. I've always wanted to be a teacher and I've taught a little bit, but I always had a little fear that is also around some of that shame and body shame stuff and being in front of a crowd. And I've overcome that. And now I am ready, which I cannot believe I'm saying this, to step in front of crowds and start representing because we need it. And I feel it deeply that this needs to be heard, and so just Four Peaks is a platform for that. And just more involvement in music worlds and more. We really want to bring in musicians as influencers. So if you're a musician and you're curious about that, send us a message because you're our voice.
100%.
Yeah.
No, please. I really, really, really admire the work that you folks are doing and just putting the message out there, raising more education around psychedelics and really, really deprogramming the brains or the
Here.
knowledge that was out there because
Yeah.
that's really, 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 really needed. And I will highly recommend anyone listening up to the podcast as well. Please do check out their websites, do check out the content that they have and the services that they provide. I have taken help of the services that they provide myself, and it's amazing. But before you do that, do educate yourself around psychedelics and any substances that you consume.
Yes, very much so. So thank you so much for having me. I love your soul. You're so sweet and kind, and I think you're on the same mission that we are. And so I feel very honored to be a part of your podcast and your documentary and being friends. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you also agreeing to do this. And again, like for all the work that you're doing, it's really, really, really inspiring. Uh, I know for a matter of fact that we will be connected and hopefully we'll be able to record up another episode soon with some more knowledge, some more
Bring
information,
it
some more
on.
exciting education around psychedelics. But I really appreciate you joining me today, Nicole. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a beautiful weekend. Have a great Friday.
Thank
Thanks.
you. You too.